Hey guys, Dr. Morse, Injury Experts. So I wanted to break down the top 14 players coming off the board, basically your first round or maybe the first two picks of the second round, depending on how big your draft is, and share some thoughts about each of them for both a fantasy and, more importantly, an injury perspective. Jamar Chase going as the 101, no concerns for him. He's proven that hip injury a couple years ago was super fluky, and not only is he unbelievably elite, the Bengals defense is awful. The Bengals offensive line is awful. Joe Burrow looks even better than he did 2 years ago, and he still wasn't even 100% last year, and he still looked absolutely incredible. So realistically, no concerns with him being the 101, and I think that he has a very good chance to repeat as the wide receiver one. Assuming that he stays healthy and assuming that he doesn't have any issues. T. Higgins is going to be right behind him, but we know that Jamar Chase is the alpha. No problems with him at the 101. Sliding over to the 102. Currently, Bejon Robinson is expected to go at the 102 or the first running back off the board, depending on your draft. Now, Bejon looked absolutely incredible last year, and he's probably going to get even better this year. Now, I do expect some regression from Jahmyr Gibbs, which we'll talk about in a second. And I think the boost in Penix Jr. will likely improve Bejon even more. And realistically, he's probably got the best chance of finishing as the RB1. Sliding over to 3, checking the list, is Saquon Barkley. So Saquon Barkley obviously had an incredible season. The crazy thing was, despite his incredible season in PPR, he still didn't finish as the RB1. He finished as the RB2. But the caveat here is, Jalen steals a ton of rushing touchdowns. Well, we know that. That's a given. He doesn't receive a whole lot of targets. Yep, he didn't receive a whole lot last year. He still had a fantastic year. But he's, 28, heading closer to 29, and he just had 462, I think it was, touches last year. Their offensive line isn't quite as good as it was last year. Maybe their defense is not as good, hypothetically, and maybe they have to throw more. So maybe he helps with that. But in general, I am avoiding Saquon. You are basically paying for him at the peak. You do not get any value with him at all, and you are not implying any risk with him given how significant his injury history is and the data on how poor these guys do in the second year after, the first year after their significant crazy injury volume. So realistically, that's kind of what I'm thinking. So as we transition to the 104, I'm off on Saquon at his current ADP. So realistically, Jahmyr Gibbs going at the 104, third running back off the board. In my opinion, the second running back off the board. I love Jahmyr. He's a beast. He finished as the 101 last year, as the top running back off the board and finishing the season strong. But realistically, it looks absolutely incredible. Yes, I do expect the Lions to regress this year. They lost Ben Johnson. Jared Goff really struggles in outdoor environments, and half of their games are outdoors. So realistically, I love Jahmyr. If I don't get Bejon and I want to take a running back, I will take Jahmyr. No problems. But he's probably going to increase his workload by 15 to 20% compared to last year, which is insane. So he could very well finish as the 101 again, the RB1, but I think Bejon's going to take it. But it'll be a great, no qualms with Jahmyr at all. A little bit of injury risk more so than Bejon, but not a whole lot. No concerns. Now we're head over to the 105. The 105 is Justin Jefferson. Now, we never count out Justin Jefferson. The kid is a monster. He's a stud. He's an absolute phenom. He gets a new shiny toy that he was supposed to get last year in J.J. McCarthy, who is probably going to be really good. But there's probably going to be a little bit of growing pains. He won't get Jordan Addison for the first 3 weeks, so maybe there's a little bit of double coverage that he has to deal with. But in general, I have no issues with Justin Jefferson. The kid's an absolute stud. Is he going to get enough volume? Probably. Is KLC going to target him a ton? Yes, probably. But, no issues with Justin Jefferson at all. He has a hamstring strain right now, but the good news is it's relatively mild. and it's the opposite one that he had from a couple years ago that was the big one. So in general, his injury risk is slightly increased, but overall still low because he knows how to take care of his body. Heading into the 106 is none other than CeeDee Lamb. So CeeDee Lamb finished the season on IR last year with an AC sprain, and realistically, he had an incredible season despite Dak Prescott being done for most of the year. Now, we will see him bounce back and have an absolute ridiculous season. I think he finishes as the wide receiver 1. Realistically, because of this situation, because they added George Pickens, I think that they can't double or triple team him anymore. Or Pickens is going to burn them very quickly. They still have Ferguson. They still have Turpin, who looks really good in the slot. They still have Tolbert. Maybe they get a little bit of running game going. I love CeeDee Lamb. He is a stud. I know him personally. He is unbelievably elite and just another level of eliteness in terms of mentality and how he thinks and how he approaches the game. With that being said, I have no qualms taking him. Even if you took him at the first wide receiver overall, no issues with it at all. I think Dak, although I have a little bit of concerns with his hamstring not being 100% completely as he comes back from surgery, CeeDee Lamb is going to get a ridiculous number of targets. And if you look back 2 years, very good chance he ends up going crazy this year, mimicking what he did 2 years ago. Now we're going to head over to the 107. So, and that is none other than Puka Ngata. Dynamic player, absolute monster, had by far the highest YPRR. He was an absolute stud. The problem is he's had his fair share of injuries already. He had that PCL sprain early in camp last year. He re-injured it in week 1, cost him about half the season. Then he went absolutely nuclear. I don't have a problem with Puka per se. I have a Matthew Stafford problem. And that's part of my concern for this, is that I love Puka's talent. I just have an issue if Stafford's not healthy. Can Jimmy G still be efficient and good enough to sustain both Puka and Davante Adams and continue to generate moving the ball enough to justify not only his ADP, but also the target share we're expecting and also the target volume we're expecting? He's probably not going to hyper-focus on Puka and Davante like Stafford would. So if you're nitpicking, which you kind of have to do at this level, he has a little bit of injury risk, and we're concerned about Stafford. That might be enough to move off of him, or maybe not reach for him. But talented-wise, no question. Dude's a stud. Okay, heading over to the wide receiver 5, which is Malik Neighbors. Now, Malik Neighbors was ridiculous last year. The guy makes absolutely insane catches. There's no question. He's a stud. But there's a couple things that potentially concern us. First of all, he suffered a concussion last year, whereas about 85% of these players returned in one game. He missed actually 2, almost 3 games, but because of the bye, it was only 2. Plus, he has a chronic turf toe injury that is probably going to wax and wane. He had a shoulder injury a couple weeks ago that flared up again the other day, causing him to miss practice. Plus, he has to deal with potential hospital balls and other issues with Russell Wilson, and the offensive line is garbage. They don't really have a whole nother elite receiver on that team that can potentially take him away and not cause him to be double teamed. I think when Jackson Dart comes in, I think that could be a sneaky, scary combination. But I do have a little bit of risk and concern for Neighbors. But I think he has a good chance as any to be a top 3 wide receiver if the quarterback cooperates, if he stays healthy, and he just does what he does. He reminds me of Odell Beckham. The kid is just a stud. Okay, heading over to the 109 is Amon-Ra St. Brown. So ASRB came on the scene a couple years ago and has been absolutely incredible. But as I mentioned earlier, I do have some concerns about regression here from not only the Lions, but also from Jared Goff. The play calling is going to be different. They're going to get J-Mo more involved, who I really like this year. Goff may struggle a little bit more because he's going to be outside. And they're going to add Tesla as well. And they obviously still have Montgomery and Laporta, who's a little banged up right now. I love ASRB, but at this price, I'm going to fade him. I still have some concerns about his knee coming in the offseason. He had knee surgery earlier in the offseason, probably a meniscal tear. Usually they're good, but every once in a while you can tweak it again, and then you kind of have to figure out, hey, do I want surgery and miss it? He's not the type to miss, so he's going to play at a lower level than he previously would have if he didn't have the injury. So something to think about. He's just off my radar, although I love the talent. Heading into the fourth RB off the board, the RB in the 110, and that's the stud rookie Ashton Jy. So Jy is in a perfect situation to smash. If you look at the data, rookie running backs that were drafted in the top 10 picks have done absolutely insane numbers, not only for their career, but also especially in their rookie season. Now you add in the fact that he's an elite receiver. Look at his YPRR from 2 years ago when they needed him to be an elite receiver, and he was ridiculous. Last year, he went absolutely nuclear as a rusher. He had more yards after contact as a rusher than the second most rusher in the NCAA last year. That's how insane Jy is. He's so ridiculous that he's like the next coming of Saquon, of Zeke. Like he's that caliber elite. He's ridiculous. Unfortunately, he has not the best offensive line, but I think they use him early and often, and he's just a beast. I have nothing bad to say about him. He could very well finish as a top 3, maybe top 1 running back, and I would not be surprised at all. If he's available and I'm targeting a running back, I want him over several other running backs in this area. Heading over to the 111, and this has shifted over the past couple of weeks, is Christian McCaffrey. So obviously a polarizing player. He was previously going about the 14th, 15th, 16th pick. But now that he's showing that he's healthy and the rest of the team is injured, there's a good chance that he's probably going to sneak into the late first round, or ideally an early second round pick would be optimal. With that being said, I have significant concerns overall about his injury history. But I have a feeling McCaffrey went way out of his way this year to say, hey, I need to play this next season on a high note. I need to make sure my body's ready. I'm not worried about the calf. I'm not worried about the knee. I'm not worried about the Achilles. He's still at twice as much risk as anyone else, maybe except for, Saquon, but even then. With that being said, I will, if he's available and I'm looking, he's going to get stupid volume if he's on the field. The guys behind him are backups. They're not going to play and be relevant if he is healthy. And right now, their wide receiving core is a hot mess, so it's going to be basically McCaffrey, Kittle, Pearsall, and maybe Juwan Jennings if he can get healthy. That's who they're predominantly depending on until Ayuk gets back. So McCaffrey may get 20 to 30 touches a game, and we know what he does when he is healthy. So I think he's healthy this year. I'm okay with drafting him this year. I'm happy he's not a top 3 pick where you don't have a choice. Now you have a little bit of a choice, and maybe you do double tap crazy and he's your RB2, which would be bananas, or you take a super stud alpha wide receiver 1, and then you come back and you take McCaffrey as your RB1, and that's a beautiful combo too. So no issues with McCaffrey this year. Absolutely love him. Heading into the last pick of the first round, depending on your formats and your settings, is Derrick Henry. Now, Henry is an absolute stud. Henry does not fit the normal aging algorithm. He's just a freak. He's a friggin' linebacker that's a running back. He's 31, and the guy looks like he's 22. He's a ridiculous phenom. With that being said, he doesn't catch the ball, and I predominantly play in PPR. I love his talent, and if he's a third-round pick, no problems. He's not an early first-round pick, which is good, and he's probably going to get 12 to 15 plus touches. He might be able to threaten 20. Lamar is not a big fan of rushing for a touchdown with Henry being available. But the fact that he doesn't run, and the fact that he's getting a little older, that risk is starting to increase a little bit. I would prefer him as my RB2 than my RB1, just obviously depending on where you're going. But in terms of injury risk overall, not a whole lot, not very high for Derrick Henry. I love him. He's just getting a little too expensive for me, given some of these other variables. Heading into the wide receiver, the next player on the board, that is Nico Collins. That is the 113 wide receiver 7. So Nico has shown that he's a stud. He's an elite wide receiver. His rate limiting factor, he can't stay healthy. He struggles to stay healthy. We know he's elite. We know he has all the tools. He has the size. He has the body to the body and the ability to box out. He has the YPRR. He has the slot percentage we're looking for. He has the passing rate. He has a really good quarterback. That's none of those are the problem. The rate limiting factor I have for Nico Collins is he cannot stay healthy and put together a clean 17-game slate. And when you're drafting a first-round pick as your wide receiver 1, you need that. You're paying for that. So I'm not worried about the guys around him. Higgins will help. Noel will help. Christian Kirk will help. Dalton Schultz will help. Whoever the running back's going to be is going to help. Stroud will hit him early and often. He will put up some ridiculous games this year. I have issues with his soft tissue concerns, and as a result, I'm off of him. I can't be on everybody. I have to target some guys, and this is enough for me to say, nope, I'm good. The final guy we're going to talk about is Brian Thomas Jr. So Brian Thomas came out of nowhere last year and had an absolutely ridiculous season. Yes, he was a first-round pick, but he wasn't as highly touted as Malik Neighbors. He wasn't as highly touted as Marvin Harrison Jr. or as Rome Odunze. But my God, did he put on a show. He finished the season with multiple injuries, but played through all of them. He ended up having to play half the season with Mac Jones. And as a Patriots fan, I know what that feels like. But now he gets Liam Cohen. He gets to move into the slot role, which is going to boost his potential by about 20 to 30%, which is insane. He gets Travis Hunter, if he stays healthy, as a guy that can take some of the coverage off. Parker Washington will help. Brenton Strange will help. We'll see a myriad of running backs that are going to, be there. Hopefully, Trevor Lawrence can stay healthy and target him early and often. I think Brian Thomas Jr. has a chance to finish as the wide receiver 1 this year. He's my favorite late first-round wide receiver because he stays healthy, he plays hard, he has good pedigree, he has a perfect scheme, he's going to slide into the slot, and I have no reason to fade him. None. And as a result, I want him in the late first or early second, depending on where I'm drafting, and if I can get him, I will get him. That's my thoughts on the first 14 players off the draft. If you like this type of content, do me a favor, smash a thumbs up, subscribe. I have a lot more injury news content, different things in the injury draft guide, and I keep you informed and up to date from now until the Super Bowl. Check us out, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you go, we're there. Take care. We will see you tomorrow for another video.